Now can I talk, Peter? He fakes me out and talking into the microphone and tells me nobody's hearing.
But you sounded really good. You sounded really, really, really good, Doug. Why don't you try to recreate that?
It's a shame. It's a Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John. John, I'm a little confused.
What else is new?
Easy. We had Ed on. He had this late breaking news. And then we have Councilman Boynston on.
Yeah.
And he kind of indicated it wasn't a dead deal
It's not a dead deal.
And he also indicated he hadn't read his agenda packet, so he doesn't know exactly what they're voting on.
He doesn't know. I'm sure he probably isn't aware of the actual wording.
Right. Is there anybody that is aware of it?
Well, we do have Perry Smith here, the news director from KHTS. I'm sure.
What a segue. Thank you, Doug.
I'm sure he knows because he knows everything. He interrupted this great... Wow, I was going to go a lot further than that. He knows everything, but now it's...
Well, you overstate my case
obviously,
and then you build up the expectation too high,
He obviously doesn't know not to interrupt the host.
Bound to disappoint.
I do want to thank Perry because we called him out of lunch. We interrupted his lunch hour to come be on the show. So.
And we know he doesn't like to miss a meal.
No, I don't do that too often, clearly.
So, okay, so the situation with the billboards.
Right. What's that?
Yeah, what's that? Interesting, to say the least, and I think it makes sense. I think it was Councilman Boydston last week at the last council meeting last week was pointing out, hey, maybe a little bit more time. Maybe we should see the final results. Maybe we should take a look at this and take a breath. Is that kind of what happened?
Well, you might see that, but I don't know. It's kind of a fluid situation, as Tim Ben was indicating. And you don't really know what's going to happen. It's up for a second reading at the council meeting on Tuesday, but you don't. There's only so much you can do at a second reading. You can't really change anything without restarting the whole process.
Okay.
So, and talking to Metro, they're still trying to see if they can acquiesce to those city demands. So I don't think. It would be premature to say what's going to happen yet, but I don't think it's going to get. It's going to get the okay based on what city staff are saying.
So the second reading is basically okay. Well, we voted yes, but let's take a look and read this again. And vote again?
Right. Well, they gave it a conditional approval with 13 terms that were put out, and we have those up at hometownstation.com if you want to go ahead and check the news story.
We just
put that exactly.
Just saying that.
Thank you. And we just updated that one actually, and there were certain conditions. The main thing being the indemnity.
Right.
The city doesn't want to get sued if somebody decides to go after Metro for taking down the billboards or putting up the new ones.
Right.
There was some verbiage there that was just a little unclear, so they're still kind of trying to work out the wording, and nothing is certain. But if they don't just go ahead and approve it with what the city asked for, then the city has to start over and have a new public hearing and start from scratch. Is kind of the deal there.
Okay.
So was it Ed or Councilman Boynston that mentioned that somebody said something might have misrepresented what the company felt?
No clue what you're talking about, Doug, and I've been here the whole time.
Thank you. Was it something happened where one of the representatives at the city council meeting 2 weeks ago misspoke for his company? Are you aware of this, Perry, at all?
No, I didn't.
And that's one of the reasons the gentleman no longer works for that company.
Moliere?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, I was told, his last day was Thursday, and Roger Moliere was the guy who put together the deal, and I'm not sure if that's who you're talking about as far as the misspoke or the terms of his leaving Metro. I just know that the architect of the deal, the person that I've been speaking with, is no longer with Metro.
So you don't know if it was related to this issue or not?
I couldn't even speculate as far as what happened there, but I don't know if he was already planning to go out and it was his last day, but...
So we are kind of starting all over again.
But
in theory.
That's what would happen if the city can't come to... If Metro doesn't agree to all those terms the city said.
All right, so what else going on in the city?
There's a Senate constitutional amendment that they're going to have a public meeting on at 28141 Kelly Johnson Parkway on Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m., and it proposes to allow preferential treatment in public education based on race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin, which was passed by the state Senate on February 30th. It's kind of harkening back to the affirmative action deal.
Wait a minute.
So that's
I don't like the way that sounds.
Yeah. It's going to be discussed. There's going to be a public meeting to kind of talk about it, and we just got a notice. People are contacting their... people sent us a letter telling us to let people know about this, and if people want to contact their legislator, they can. There's a list, but it was introduced by Senator Hernandez from the 24th District, and basically it says just that. It was allowing for affirmative action in certain instances in public education.
Who's going to be there?
We spoke with Scott Wilk, and we're going to be publishing that story. As
Okay.
far as whether he's going to be in attendance or not, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Because one of our staffers is actually still writing that story right now.
Okay.
But it's definitely, I think, an interesting situation and something that could affect everyone.
Brown versus Board of Education. And oh my gosh.
One thing I
California
wanted to bring
Regents,
up.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of been under the radar.
Yeah. You have not heard anything about that.
We talked about this a little bit before we came on the air with Perry, but I was disappointed to find out there's some sort of straw voting going on for city council, and none of the three of us know anything about it.
Yeah, that's
John, do you know anything?
I heard. Well, I know it's the Santa Clarita Republican Assembly. They're doing a straw poll. Other than that, I don't know too many details. That's
So
kinda
who's
strange.
supposed to go and vote then?
Which is interesting. Any cool news on the city council race? Anything that struck you?
Just the campaign disclosures that we did a story about up on hometownstation.com, looking at who was raising the most money. Muazzam Chowdhury made a big push during this last period, and he's got over 30,000.
Wow.
Raised total, but he's spent about 18,000. But he still has a pretty
yeah.
big war chest for that last couple months.
No surprises with the incumbents raising the most money.
No, they did well, but again, the biggest surprise, I guess you would say, was surprise, just because it's generally harder for incumbents.
Have you seen some of the signs
or
out there?
challengers? Sorry.
Have you seen some of the signs out there as you're driving around?
Yeah, I have.
starting
I
to get
have
a little
seen
bit
the
more paper
signs that
than
are,
one.
and it was weird. About 2 weeks ago, they just proliferation.
It's like
everywhere.
It's like they must have hired the same
So
people.
can we put Perry on the spot? If you had to pick Perry,
You can't.
procrastination, or what is it?
prognostications.
And he'll procrastinate. He'll pick later.
Yeah,
I will. I will reserve judgment on that question.
You don't have any
because-
predictions for us?
No, honestly, it's there's a few candidates that I think that have kind of separated themselves from the pack, but I don't want to comment on that
all right.
and express any preferential. But I think it's clear as far as the name recognition, and you're going to see a real close race on April 8th.
Right.
All right, well,
All right.
Perry, we thank you for coming on, as
Perry
always.
Smith, news director of KHTS AM 1220, a great radio station from what I understand.
I just love the Doug and John show.
The great news department. There we go. All right, you're listening to AM 1220 KHTS Santa Clarita's hometown station, Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John, and we'll be right back.